Hi everyone and welcome to my new video. Before we start setting up April though, I'm quickly flipping through my bullet journal so you can see how I've been using it during my hiatus. I haven't been journaling as much as I used to, mainly because I kind of fell out of the habit. I also made most of these setups 2 weeks after the month had begun because I was thinking of making a new video but then just didn't have the time for that. So it's definitely a bit sad, but I guess every hobby comes in waves and taking a break is good sometimes. Anyway, now that April is coming, I finally found some inspiration for my cover page and wanted to take the time to film a video about it as well. My goal was to do something easy and simple, but also cute. I've wanted to do a chicken theme for April for a couple of years now, but it never ended up working out like I wanted, so this time I thought that I would just give it a try and see what comes up. I used to plan out my cover pages beforehand, but this one I just sketched and then started filming without knowing how it would end up looking. That was definitely the right way to approach this video and this theme after my break, and I'm really happy with how this cover turned out. This cover was inspired by beautiful art made by Annalee Beck, and I will link their Instagram in the description box, so definitely check them out. Their paintings have these multiple different borders which look super cute, and as I didn't know what else I wanted to have in my cover page other than the chicken, this felt like a good way to decorate the rest of the page. I used a black fineliner just for the chicken and the main border, I guess, to have a bit softer look, and for the different decorations I used a mix of markers and colored pencils. I wanted to use some bright pastel colors and go for a color palette that reminds me of spring, so I used some pinks and a little bit of green. If you want, you could also outline some of these decoration doodles, but I like the softer look, so I didn't do that. Coloring this cover also took less time this way, so that was a nice bonus for me as well. Because I didn't want all the colors to look the same, I added a pop of blue in the border and used the thin side of a Tombow dual brush pen, and this is the shade 553. I have also written all the supplies that I used and the Tombow shades in the description, so definitely check that out for more information. I was a bit nervous how this color palette would turn out, so I swatched the colors on a scrap piece of paper before adding them on the page, as sometimes the color looks different than the color in the cap of the marker. Because my marker collection didn't have all the shades I wanted to use, I ended up adding some color with colored pencils as well, which I love using. They always bring me back to childhood, as colored pencils were all I used back then, and I just really love the soft look of them. You can also erase them if you end up making a mistake, which is nice. I think the markers and the colored pencils ended up looking really good together, so I'm really happy that I decided to use both. You could also use watercolors for this, like Annalee Beck probably does, and that would look stunning. I just didn't want the paper on my journal to wrinkle, and I'm too impatient to wait for the paint to dry, so I didn't go for that. If you aren't a fan of chickens, you could always switch up the doodle in the center to something else, like a bunny or dog, for example. I always like to add little rosy cheeks to my animal doodles, so I did that this time as well. This cover page was pretty quick to set up, and I think it took about an hour or a little less. As I've been working since last summer, I nowadays go for more simple style with my journal, as you probably saw from the flip through in the beginning of this video. I've been thinking whether I should try using pre-made planner, as I mostly use the same spreads every month, but we will see. On the other hand, I love my bullet journal and it has a very special place in my heart. I feel like bullet journaling isn't a trend anymore like it used to be, and more people have stopped bullet journaling. I would love to hear if you still journal and if you have made any changes to your journaling habits, so let me know in the comments. Anyway, we are almost done with my cover, and I used colored pencils to make this scalloped edge in the border, and I think it added a bit of softness to this illustration. I also really like these colors and they make me really happy. Because there was still some empty space left and the border didn't feel complete, I added a wavy line following the scalloped edge with the same blue Tombow I used earlier. This line added some more definition, which I felt like the cover needed, and it also started looking a bit too red, so adding more colors seemed like a great idea. Finally, I thought of coloring the empty white space with this pale yellow color, but it was too cool toned and looked a bit weird, so I ended up covering it with a white gel pen. I decided to add these yellow dots instead and use a couple different shades to have a bit more variety. Oh, and I also outlined the yellow sections to add a bit more definition and contrast, but you could also leave out this step. Now the cover is basically done and I really love how it turned out. I definitely want to make these kinds of borders again, as this was such a simple way to make the illustration more interesting, and drawing them was also quite quick. Oh, and I forgot that I also added a bit of shading to the chicken with 2 different gray shades, so it would pop a little bit more from the page. I couldn't find a nice quote on the left side, so I just left that page blank for now and move on to the next spread. If you have any ideas what I should add in there, let me know and maybe I could film a YouTube short about making that spread. Anyway, next we are making my monthly spread and I went for a 2-page calendar, so I have a bit more room for writing. The boxes are 4 dots wide and 5 dots tall, so I have quite a lot of writing space compared to the 1-page calendar layout. As you can see, I don't like to use a ruler when I'm making my layouts, and my trick for making the wobbly lines less noticeable is to keep my wrist in the same position and drag the pen towards my body. I also like to use lighter colors for my lines, as having wobbly black lines would be much more noticeable. For the rest of the decorations in this setup, I decided to use stickers, washi tapes and some random paper scraps. I had a couple of these Goose stickers that I've made and felt like they went pretty well with this theme, so I added them in here. You could always draw these yourself as well, and you can check out my 2023 April bullet journal setup to see how I draw these. That is one of my favorite themes I've done, and I would love to draw more these kinds of simple birds in the future. The flower stickers that I used are from Och Monika, and I was super happy when I got this sticker sheet from my friend as a Valentine's Day gift, as I had just used up the last stickers in my previous sticker sheet. As I've been using my journal a bit less, I've tried to simplify my spreads so making them wouldn't feel overwhelming, and because of that I've combined my monthly spread with my happy trackers, and that has been working pretty well for me. Now that I'm using the A5 size journal again, I have a bit more space, so I could easily fit 8 mini calendars on the right side of the spread, which is great. I used some grid paper for every other box, and for the rest I drew a gingham pattern with a light peach Tombow shade. This is my favorite way of making happy trackers, as I love the mix of textures and patterns, and it's also pretty quick to do. I'm tracking basically the same habits as I always do, like taking my vitamins and working out, but I also decided to add 7,000 steps in one of the trackers, as I should walk a bit more during the day. Oh, and I have great news. I've already managed to read 1 book this year, which is great as I didn't read any last year. I didn't add reading in my happy trackers though, as I haven't found a book I would like to read next yet. The book I read was Yellow Face by Rebecca F. Kwang, and I really liked it, so I highly recommend it. I read it in just 2 days when I was traveling. If you have any book recommendations, definitely let me know. Anyway, next we are setting up my weekly spreads, and I decided to make some waterfall dots drawers, as that was a quick way to decorate the spread, and I also wanted to try out something different. I have this cute Goose washi tape that obviously I wanted to use, and tried to match the rest of the washi tapes to that. I often like to have one pattern washi tape next to a solid color washi tape, as they balance it out quite nicely. Because I accidentally cut the Dutch doors in a way that I had more space left in the last spread and I couldn't find a nice white washi tape from my collection, I decided to glue down this printed book page that I used on my monthly spread as well. I also glued down this craft paper thingy behind my monthly calendar to add a bit more visual interest. I bought this craft paper sticker from Berlin last year and I also filmed a lot while I was there so I could make a travel journal video, but I haven't had the time to edit that yet. I also have one unedited travel journal video from last April, which I would like to post sooner or later. Hopefully I will have the time to edit it soon, as it's almost done, but I don't make any promises. Anyway, for my weekly layout, I use this layout with boxes that are 8 dots wide, and I really like this layout as it has quite a lot of writing space. Vertical layouts also work for me a bit better for some reason. Lastly, I decorated the empty space on the left side and I decided to add this gingham pattern to add more warmth to this spread. I think it made this spread look super cute and was also a less messy way of decorating, as I didn't end up having too many paper scraps all over the place. To tie the two pages together, I did end up gluing down some papers as well, and then I added some stickers for the final decorations. I would love to hear how you like to decorate your journal. I used to only draw my decorations, but in the last couple of years I've really enjoyed making little collages as well. Now my every bullet journal setup is done and I'm really happy with how it turned out. It was also really fun to film a video after taking a break, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and a butterfly emoji in the comments. Thank you so much for watching and I hope you have a lovely month of April. Bye bye!